Hey, Nick Tockert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. Folks, it's been a little while since I've done a video. My health is obviously coming back to me. Thanks for the well wishes. Practices are slowly going. We've got some new members, which means I won't be just showing footage until they're comfortable, if they ever get comfortable. If not, I'm sure I will be able to show some new footage of Jim and I at the bare minimum in a couple weeks going at it. We're hoping to get everybody back. We're just recovering from another Indiana winter. What I'm going on today. I was scrolling through some videos trying to find good resources for hemoswords designs, especially since I'm going to be making some more custom ones, building up from the designs that I did. I started doing HDP blade designs last summer at the old house, and as the garage clears out and as I have a workspace, I may have spent a little bit of my tax money on a big old sheet of HDP to step it up to the next level. The next level being, instead of just doing knives and maybe something, remember the homebrew dussets I made? They worked really well. They were very popular with the guild. I'm going to try something a little more elaborate. And that is, I'm actually going to try to do some just full tang blade designs out of a sheet of HDP. And then I'm going to try to build the riggings around it essentially as I would if it were steel. Just understanding that the hole has to be thicker, obviously. This experiment may fail colossally. If it doesn't, though, it will be a very cool thing, and if it works, I will show you how. So exciting things are coming. Now, we're going to get on to a portion of videos I occasionally like to call a rant. Here is, my most recent rant. I was on Amazon, and I saw a fairly decent intended video on longsword techniques. They were actually using Rawlings synthetic trainers. It was, I believe, a French gentleman. And I was torn. I'm really torn watching this video because you're going to see videos out there, and a lot of them, any sort of videos, but especially like what I saw there, I saw two things that bothered me. One, the gentleman involved was obviously of classic Olympic fencing or lower stance. So it had incredibly wide, incredibly, tighter than 90-degree knee stance. And he moved like an Olympic fencer. And I do not want to mock Olympic /sport /collegiate fencing. They are some of the most talented martial artists out there. They are amazing at what they do and should always be respected. But I don't choose to train that way. And the reason I don't choose to train that way, and the reason I don't, unless that is your game, if that is your game, train that way, train hard. The reason I don't is I'm the kind of guy who wants to learn how to do things once. What does that mean? I train to handle a sword in the same body mechanics against one person as I would against two, as I would against a whole group, regardless necessarily of what they're holding. If I can find a stance, a system, set of techniques that works, that's what I encourage you to seek. And you find the one that works for you. The problem I find with the classical fencing stance, especially in some systems when they're taught by a very lean, very slender-bodied athletic person, is they tend to favor extremely low guards. So if they're standing, their knees are at 90 degrees, they're moving very close. And the problem with that, and I don't even know, let me see if I can do that. Woo, that was rude. If I'm way low, and my camera really is not in a position to photograph that, so we're gonna do this. Give myself some room. And knock over everything in the process. That's fine. I don't care. If you are down here, okay? If you are fighting down here, you can move quickly like this, but you can't. Getting your body to move horizontal is very hard. It's very trying. This hurts your knees. Excuse me. If you train in a style that only works when you are in peak condition, it will fail you when you are not in peak condition. This is why I always try to train and develop my style. The simple sword was developed not along my best days, but along my worst days. Always from the attitude of, I don't feel good. I don't want to fight right now. How is my body going to move? Because if it's doable then, when you're feeling good, it's easy. When you're tired, it's doable. This is why I always encourage two core techniques. It's not even a technique, it's a philosophy of training. Philosophy 1, there's always another beep hole. What I mean is, if what you are doing is really great against one person, I'm going to, a lot of ground techniques come under this category. And I'm not saying anything against MMA guys, because MMA guys will kick my can. But if you're doing something that intentionally gets you to the ground because you can debilitate one guy, that's great until there's another guy. Olympic lunges, the deep, expansive Olympic lunges, and some of the body mechanics of that style of movement work because you're fighting one person who's stuck on a line, okay? Olympic fencers are like two trains going back and forth on that track. They lose if they derail. Don't limit yourself. The world's gonna limit you enough. The other major tenet, the other philosophy of the two that I really kind of base most things on, is train like it's your worst day. When you're figuring out a technique, I sometimes encourage my students to drill after bouts. Once people are in good enough shape to do it safely, we'll have bouts, and when they go to cool off, I'll say, stop. I want you to go through the drills a few times. Because one, that's where the mistakes will show up. And if they're making them a little bit when they're healthy, they'll make it, an upright. And, hey, it practices, yay. When they're tired and they just want to take a break, that's when you'll see it even worse. Two, it will let them know what their body feels like tired. You can't prep practically for success on the fencing field, or frankly anything else, if you only do it in perfect setting. You have to learn to fight, to train, to art in adversity. I think that's why so many college professors give such tight deadlines. I think that's why I, as a sword master, push my students a little bit when they're tired. And I think that's why we, as trainers ourselves, should push ourselves when we're tired. Let's get to the end of the video. If you like what I'm doing, please like, share, subscribe, ring Trelena's bell. If you want more of my technique, check the links down below. Buy the Simple Sword. It supports my channel. Or consider being a Patreon. And as always, Support your local swordmaster.